In my last video, we talked about this horrifying plane crash that happened in Brazil. I would show you the video, but YouTube won't let me. But I posted several videos over on X or Twitter, so go follow me over there if you want to see the plane crash. But as tragic as this situation was, the focus of conversation right now, when it comes to this story, is the weird, odd fact that there were 8 cancer doctors on board the flight. Now, these weren't just any old random cancer doctors. A few of them had came up with what they believed was a cure to cancer. And it just so happens that they were headed to a conference, a cancer conference, where they were going to tell people about their discoveries for the first time. What's the odds of that? I mean, really think about it. Do any of you gamble? Have any of you ever been to Las Vegas? Do you know about the odds? You know, I know there's been a lot of plane crashes lately because of Boeing, but plane crashes are still very rare, okay? You are very unlikely to die in a plane crash, okay? And now think of the fact, what are the odds, right? How many people on Earth have discovered a possible cure to cancer? Only a couple, only a handful of people maybe, right? So think about these two very rare situations. Plane crashes are rare, and then discovering a possible cure to cancer, that's even rarer than plane crashes. So what's the odds that someone who supposedly maybe found a cure to cancer was on board a plane that crashed? Out of all of the planes flying in the sky that day, the one plane carrying the one guy who may have a cure to cancer crashes as he's on the way to go tell people about his research and about his discoveries and about these new treatments and medications that he's been working on and researching. Now, I find that extremely suspect. And I mean, the odds are just stacked against that happening. What is the likelihood of that just being a big coincidence? But as of right now, they're still working on identifying some of the bodies. But rumors are swirling online that one of these doctors was a doctor by the name of Leo Ferreira. Okay, and recently he had discovered a way to program regulatory T cells to attack tumors. It was showing a 90% remission in the lab, and they were about to begin animal trials. Now, if this worked, it would effectively beat most cancers. This would be a cure, somewhat, to cancer. But unfortunately, he's no longer with us. However, we do have some videos of him talking about this, so I'm going to go ahead and roll this clip, and then I'll be right back with more.
There is, however, one subset of T cells that tumors are very happy to have, and that's the regulatory T cells. So unlike the conventional T cells, they're usually not designed to kill. They inhibit specific immune responses, and solid tumors are really enriched in these cells. So what I found is that if I take a page from the CAR T cell book and put a CAR targeting a tumor antigen on a Treg, this CAR Treg actually kills the tumor cell. And compared with a naturally activated Treg, it makes a lot more inflammatory cytokines, including interferon gamma and TNF alpha and others. And so what we're finding then is that something about the way the CAR signals in a Treg makes it become less suppressive, less inhibitory, and more pro-inflammatory and cytotoxic. So our hope is that because Tregs are this ability to infiltrate solid tumors, if you can put a CAR in them that targets solid tumors, actually infiltrate and destroy the solid tumor. And in addition, it's been shown as the inflammatory cytokines further reprogram, destabilize the suppressive immunomicroenvironment of the solid tumor. So the idea here is to have this Trojan horse, this CAR Treg, that will traffic to solid tumors and kill the cells when it's there and help recruit more inflammatory immune cells over there. And so right now we have a lot of data in vitro on what these CAR Tregs look like after activation, what their chemokine expression level is like, chemokine receptors as well. We're currently doing immunocompetent mouse models to test how powerful these CAR Tregs are in solid tumors.
Now, I want to make myself very clear here. I always try to do that in these videos. I'm not telling you that there's a big conspiracy here. Accidents happen. Tragic accidents happen. Some things are just a big coincidence. However, you know, I'm also not going to sit here and pretend like this isn't kind of shady, right? But I'm not really confident that we will ever get the full list of names. And, when it comes to the people who died on this flight, I'm not sure if they'll ever really properly identify some of these doctors who were on board. I'm not sure if we'll ever know the extent of their research and the stuff that they were working on. We do know that luckily some of these doctors who were working alongside the doctors who died, they were supposed to be on the flight as well, okay? There were supposed to be more doctors on the flight. But luckily for them, they almost boarded the wrong plane and they didn't wind up on the flight. So some people's lives were basically saved by their own mistake. And I'm hoping that those doctors maybe have some of the same information that the doctors had who were on board that airplane. But it's just crazy because we live in a world full of mystery. We live in a world plagued with violence and diseases, and you want to hold on to that glimmer of hope that one day things will be better. One day they will find a cure to this, or they will find a cure to that. Maybe you have a sick family member, maybe you're sick yourself, and you're holding out on hope that there will be some type of breakthrough in the future. But then when you see situations like this, it's very discouraging because it makes you wonder, are people even allowed to have breakthroughs? Are people allowed to really find cures? Because it seems like every time someone does, they tragically die. I don't know if you all remember, but years ago, a similar situation happened with someone who was claiming they found a cure to AIDS and they were working on a cure to AIDS. And it just so happens that as they were on their way to a conference to tell people about their medical findings, all of the doctors, they were on board this airplane and it mysteriously crashed. All of the doctors who were working on a cure to HIV. So the reason why I'm so skeptical when it comes to stuff like this is because stuff like this happens way more often than you think. You might not hear about it. You might not know about it. Now, if you all want, if you don't believe me, Google is your friend. The internet is your friend. Go out there and do some research. If you don't believe anything, if there's ever a time that you don't believe something I'm saying in one of my videos, go do your research and you'll find out for yourself, okay? So the reason why I'm so skeptical is because things like this seem to happen way too often. Every time there's someone who has this new medical breakthrough or a cure to something, they tragically die. Every time there's this brand new invention that's going to reinvent the way we live, these people die. It's really mysterious. It's really crazy, but it's something that's really happening out there. And there's people out there who have been trying to connect the dots when it comes to all of this stuff for years and years. But unfortunately, we live in a day and age, and y'all know this, where this stuff becomes old news really quickly and people move on. I mean, look at what happened with the Trump rally a few weeks ago. People have moved on. You don't have any answers to what really happened at that rally, but people are ready for the next big news story, and the same goes here. Right now, everyone's like, oh man, the 8 doctors on board, what did they know? By next week, they'll forget all about this, and they'll move on to the next story. But for now, I'm still curious about what these people knew, and I would like to know more about what caused this plane to crash, because it really looks like it just fell straight out of the air. Some people reported that maybe there was an explosion or something. I would like to know how this plane crashed. But for now, let me know your thoughts about this down in the comments below. While you're down there, hit the thumbs up, hit that subscribe, ring that notification bell, and I'll talk to you all very soon in the next video.